I'm here with Marina Gibson, and Marina, we get like all the time questions from beginners in fly fishing. How do I set up my very first fly box? Question to you as an expert, what do you recommend?
I think it's really important for beginners just to keep things simple. Don't get overwhelmed by how many flies you can buy, or when you see another angler and they've got hundreds of flies. You don't need that many flies.
Okay.
Buy a dozen dry flies, a dozen nymphs, a dozen streamers, and then once you start fishing these patterns and you're successful with certain ones, then you can start buying them in different weights and sizes, and then you can start expanding your fly box, because ultimately you will have way too many than you need.
Yeah, that's at the end of the line you will have several boxes, but to get started, keep it simple and get to know maybe your river a little bit better. There are some patterns and work on most rivers. Like, what do you recommend? What should you bring like in the beginning? Classic patterns.
So I would say go for natural patterns. Most rivers are populated with caddis and mayfly and small bait fish patterns as well. You also have to check out what's happening on the water when you arrive. So can you see fish coming up to the surface? If you don't, then you know that they're going to be feeding underneath. And then if you see the fish rise, then you know to put a dry fly on. So just keeping it simple, know your local waters, and also talk to the locals, get some knowledge, and if they suggest a pattern, go and buy a few of those. So once you gather the local knowledge and you know what works well, then you can buy your patterns in different sizes and also your nymphs and streamers in different weights.
Yes, very
and then
important.
You'll expand and get way too many flies that you need. And those are my main tips.
Okay, so keep it simple. Start with some classic patterns, maybe some pheasant tail variations, some hare's ear nymphs, for example. Tip number 2, bring more than one fly, bring maybe a dozen of each. And tip number 3, like expand your fly box with some more sizes and weights.
Yeah.
Anything else we have to keep in mind?
So your hooks will either be barbed or barbless. So make sure that if they are barbed, that you crush the barb with your forceps. And also buy quality flies.
Yes.
Don't buy ones that the hooks are going to break or the material is going to fall apart.
Yes, I think this is very important. It's annoying if you fish and the knot opens, or if you catch a fish and you can't use the fly a second time. So guys, check out, there are some really good manufacturers out there. Buy quality flies, this is a good tip. Okay, thanks Marina. I suggest we hit the water, tie on some new patterns. And if you guys have some more questions, put them in the comments below, drop us a message. We are happy to help, and see you out there on the water.